this week's podcast, the title is Path of Discipleship. It is based on Luke chapter 17 verses 5 to 10. In verses 5 and 6, we can see that the disciples wanted their faith to be increased. But Jesus replies to this by saying that if they had faith as small as a mustard seed, and they commanded a mulberry tree to be uprooted and planted in sea, this would happen. From this, Jesus is trying to point out that it does not matter how big or small faith we have, but rather we have faith in the power and ability of our living God. He is trying to indicate that even with small faith, we can do what is humanly impossible because it is none other than Almighty God who works through our faith. The idea of having more faith exalts man, not God, but having true faith exalts God, not man. Then he goes on to tell a parable in verses 7 to 9 that shifts our focus from faith to obedience and humility. Here, the Lord instructs us to view ourselves as God's slaves who owe Him obedience in all things and who are unworthy of His blessings. It is our duty to be completely obedient to our Master. Duty is one of the capstone of discipleship, especially when following the ways of Jesus. So, by being obedient and following the ways of Jesus, we are fulfilling our duties as His disciple. Finally, in verse 10, Jesus concludes the parable by telling us what our response must be as God's slaves. This verse points out that even if we fulfill all our duties towards Him, we must be humble and always show humility. From Luke chapter 17 verses 5 to 10, Jesus wants us to know that the path of discipleship involves fulfilling our duties towards our Master, being obedient, and have humility. It must be hard at times, but this is what is expected from us by our Master when we have decided to become one of His disciples. During this Lent season, let us keep our focus on the cross of Jesus Christ, live a life that shows obedience and humility towards our Master, and develop faith in the living God. Paul says in Galatians chapter 2 verse 20, "The life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and delivered Himself for me." Reflection: when I see by faith that I am nothing and Christ is everything, then I can receive by faith everything He has for me. The question to ponder on is, how will we respond when Christ says to us, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Master"? Would our response be filled with humility and gratitude towards what Christ has just said to us? Or would we be boastful of our achievement?